are moving up in a decently big way. Muln being one of them. We've got some interesting news on that. CEI is also up as oil's on the rise again. We're going to talk about what Warren Buffett's doing in the world of oil and all kinds of stuff related to personal finance and pretty much everything going on in the stock market today. So a very exciting day, all things considered. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, Purdy Plays, Kitchener Leslie, Kazan, Rocky Mountain Gobblers, Francis, Matt, MWS, and Greg Taylor. Good morning, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Unfortunately, today, the S&P is trending down ever so slightly. It's not really down in a significant way at all. In fact, yesterday was a great day for the stock market. Things were up pretty decently, especially during the course of the Fed meeting. You can see that while the Fed was giving their projections, the stock market was actually moving down pretty significantly. And after that, as soon as Jerome Powell started talking, the stock market started soaring. And we've, for the most part, held on to those gains throughout the course of the after hours and pre-market. We've been pretty stagnant, and some stocks are actually pretty darn green. Muln being one of them. Muln is looking pretty good at the moment. It's above $2 a share, making highs of this pump, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it's highs of this pump. So it has made highs of the pump, and it could go higher. We're going to talk about some news for Muln that just came out this morning that it looks like is helping them out somewhat significantly. So we're also going to talk a little bit about what the Fed said yesterday, all right? The Federal Reserve approved the first interest rate hike in more than 3 years and sees 6 more ahead, okay? So that was the first rate hike that they did, a 0.25% rate hike in 4 years, and we actually have a little summary posted right here on the Locals channel. You guys can view this for free if you want on your own. You can see all kinds of other stuff that we post in the top link in the description. It's just posted there, some notes that I took during the Fed conference. They basically, I'll just quickly run through what they did, a 0.25% rate hike. They projected that by the end of 2022, we would see rates of 1.9%, all right? And you can actually see their own projections right here. Here's how they project what they expect them to be. You see basically everyone, all of the Fed presidents, pick a number that they think the rates are going to be at, and then they just take the average of that number. And you can see for 2022, we've got the data right here. This is where all the Fed presidents thought the rates were going to be at the end of 2022, or where they think they're going to be. And they just take the average, and it looks like the average is right here at 1.9, right below 2%. So you guys can also view that on the Fed's website if you wish. You can see all kinds of stuff. But that has gone up from 0.9%, which was what they were previously expecting it to be in December. Now, GDP projections have actually gone down to 2.8% from 4% in December. Inflation projections have gone up. They're expecting more inflation than before, up to 4.3% is what the Fed is projecting for inflation by the end of 2022, up from 2.6%. So they're expecting this inflation to persist for a little bit longer and be a little bit higher than what they were previously thinking. Now, they've always been a little bit... They've always been thinking inflation would be lower than what it was, even during the course of this year, where we've seen rather high inflation of 7.9% year-over-year inflation. So we'll see if they're right about this, right? This is just their projection. Obviously, they don't want to spook the markets too much and speculate that there's going to be rampant inflation. So if anything, I would expect that we could maybe see it be a little bit higher than what the Fed is projecting. Now, they also said that they are going to begin, or they expect rather, to begin reducing their balance sheet at the next meeting. And that's going to be tough for them because they've got a $9 trillion balance sheet. So that's going to be relatively tough for the Fed to do. They're certainly not going to get it down to zero anytime soon, but they're at least going to start trying to reduce it at the next meeting. And they also touched on inflation, right? Powell talked about inflation. Obviously, that's the big worry in everybody's minds at the moment. Inflation. So he said inflation is likely to take longer to return to price stability goals than previously expected, but he does expect inflation to move down significantly this year, later than originally expected, due to upwards pressure from Russia and Ukraine. And I've got to say, this whole Russia and Ukraine situation, while it's not been great for the stock market, obviously, you can see stock prices haven't been liking it, this is really good news for Jerome Powell personally, right? Because now he can write off a lot of the inflation, a lot of the price increases that people are going to be seeing as it's due to Russia and Ukraine, right? It's not because the Fed printed a bunch of money. He has this excuse, and he says, and he can say, it's just a temporary situation due to what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. He can write it off due to that. And, he's probably going to do that. He's already started, right? He's already said that he expects inflation to be higher this year because of Russia and Ukraine. So he's already using that as an excuse. And, to be fair, it certainly has led to some higher prices, especially in oil. We're going to look at what's going on with oil today. Oil, it's running rampant again. It's back above $100 a barrel. So certainly there will be some price increases due to the situation, but he can even write off more inflation than they probably caused as being due to them. So all in all, it's a good thing for Powell in terms of his excuse, right? Now, he also said that the probability of recession within the next year is not particularly elevated. This was very good news for markets, right? Markets were happy to hear it. He explained his reasoning for this. He said aggregate demand is strong. We have a strong labor market, he says. House and business balance sheets are strong, he says, and he thinks the economy is strong and will flourish in the face of less accommodative monetary policy. So those are his words, that the economy will flourish in the face of less accommodative monetary policy. So we'll see if that actually happens, but that's certainly made markets happy, right? You can see the S&P at least was moving up pretty significantly while Powell was talking. They really liked what he had to say. It was very bullish stuff that Powell had to say. Now, here's something we messed up a little bit in the video we made, and I'll quickly correct it here, right? I already edited the post and the notes, but Powell said there are 7 meetings and 7 rate hikes. I thought he said there are 7 remaining meetings and 7 remaining rate hikes, but it's just 7 meetings total this year and 7 rate hikes that he's expecting. So 6 more after the meeting that we just had yesterday. So that's a little correction for anyone who was watching the video yesterday, the summary that I did. I think I said 7 remaining meetings and 7 remaining rate hikes, but there should only be 6 more, at least that Powell's expecting, right? And he also said it's possible there will be a 0.5% rate hike included in those, but only if inflation is bad. So we're probably, we really might see that actually. You know, if inflation continues to persist at the levels it has, then we might see one of those rate hikes being a 0.5% rate hike. We'll just have to see about that, though. I don't think the Fed wants to do it, but they might have to. Now, Powell said one of the Fed's most fundamental obligations, okay, this is just basically him putting people's minds at ease about inflation. He said one of the Fed's most fundamental obligations is maintaining price stability. And he said, in a quote, we have to restore price stability. So he's basically just saying, don't you guys worry about inflation. We're going to get it under control. And at the same time, he wants to maintain maximum employment. So that's what we've got. Those are the notes. If anyone wants to check them out for themselves or see anything else, you guys can check out the Locals community link. It should be the top link in the description. You can check out all kinds of stuff that we post there every day for free. So there you guys go, if anyone's interested in that. And of course, you can also check out the Fed's website, where they actually have the whole of the economic projections and the Fed's statement and all kinds of stuff. You guys can check that out as well. But it's a bit longer than the summarized version that we've got on the Locals page. So we've also got some stocks moving up. Mullen, for anyone who's just joining, Mullen is looking incredibly well during the after hours, during the pre-market. It's moving up. It's above $2. It's reached highs of the pump. So impressive stuff. Look at this. It broke out above the previous highs, above the $2.14 highs that we reached about 2 weeks ago, it looks like. We just broke out above those, and we're currently sitting above $2. So that is, all in all, good stuff for Mullen. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about Mullen in a little bit, but first we'll talk about some of the more macroeconomic news, some of the stuff affecting the overall stock market. But overall, you can see the stock market hasn't been too affected by anything that's happened in the after hours or pre-market. And that's likely because the one thing that really did happen was we got initial jobless claims, okay, for the week. And those were pretty much in line with expectations, right? We were forecast to have 220,000 jobless claims. We ended up having 214,000. Not all that different from the expectations. So nothing crazy there. You can see we're on the decline over the past couple of weeks, it looks like. So good stuff. Hopefully that will continue. Hopefully we'll get fewer and fewer jobless claims. But something that did happen during the pre-market and after hours is oil. Oil skyrocketed, and we're going to see what Warren Buffett's doing about it. Warren Buffett, he's scooping up another $1 billion of this oil stock of Occidental. So he's bringing his total stake in the company to $7 billion. He just purchased another 18.1 million shares of Occidental Petroleum for almost $1 billion on the first 3 days of this week. So he's been buying this stock up big. This brings Berkshire Hathaway's ownership to 136 million shares of the stock, $7.2 billion, and all of those 136 million shares were purchased over the last 13 days. So over the past 2 weeks, Buffett built out this $7.2 billion position in this oil company. And in his words, this is a quote from him, he said, "We started buying on Monday, February 28th, and we bought all we could." He said, "I read every word," and he's talking about their earnings conference call, "and said this is exactly what I would be doing. She, the CEO, is running the company the right way," he says. So he likes the CEO of this company, the way she's running it, and he's obviously bullish on oil prices, right? That's one of the biggest catalysts probably why he's buying up a bunch of shares of this oil stock, because oil is it's getting a little bit more expensive. In case you guys haven't noticed, as of today, even we're up about pretty much 6%, 5.93% on oil prices, and we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the day. You can see that we did actually dip below $100 for the past 2 days, but now it looks like we're back up above $100, and we'll see how long that can maintain itself. Because over the long term, you can see it's been very tough for us to stay above $100 per barrel of oil. Right? It's been very tough to stay above that. That's pretty much right where we're at. We're pretty much at $100.77, so we're right there. It's going to be tough to stay above, but if anything could do it, it would probably be Russia not supplying oil to the rest of the world, all the sanctions getting placed on them, and Europe weaning itself off of Russian oil, right? It's not going cold turkey like the US is, but it is weaning itself off of Russian oil. They're slowly reducing their usage because their usage of Russian oil is just so much greater than what we see in the United States. But I will say the uptick in oil prices has been good for CEI stocks. CEI is up. You can see as soon as this news about oil prices moving up broke, we pretty much moved up in CEI instantly. And let's see what percentage gain from close we've got on CEI. About a 6% gain. And at the highs, it was up about 11%. So we'll see what we can get on CEI stock today. If oil continues to rise, if over the next couple of days oil goes back up in a big way, we'll see. Hopefully, gas prices won't get too expensive. I mean, they're already pretty darn expensive. And, it's interesting, they seemed to rise with oil. If you looked over the past month, they seemed to go up with oil. And then around the 8th, they peaked, and oil fell down about 30%. It fell down about to the lows of where it was. And gas prices didn't really seem to follow that. I didn't see gas prices getting any cheaper. I just saw them kind of staying at the peaks. So my suspicion is that gas companies, they're making a lot of money, most likely. Gas stations are rolling in profits right around now because they're able to buy up the oil or the gas, I guess, that they need for probably much less than they could about a week or two ago. And they're probably making a whole bunch of profits with keeping prices the same where they were. So that is something I've heard, people who work at gas companies have said, or people who have worked at gas companies have said that they've noticed that some of the most profitable times for those gas companies have been when oil prices have been very volatile. And it's not just gas companies, that are dealing with higher costs and are potentially raking in more profits. It's also one of our favorite companies, okay? Anyone who follows Elon Musk's or even likes his channel probably knows about Tesla, probably likes Tesla a decent amount. And Tesla is hiking the price of their cars, okay? Tesla hikes China-made Model Y price again. So this is the third price hike that we're seeing from Tesla over the past week or two. So they hiked the price of their Model Y in China by more than $2,000 or 15,000 yuan. And this is once again following 2 consecutive price hikes for more expensive versions in just over a week. So we're seeing Tesla raise prices like there's no tomorrow. Over the past couple of weeks, they've just been hiking them up and up and up multiple times. You'd think they'd do it all in one, but Elon, I guess he wants to spoon feed it to us slowly, right? He's worried that people will get spooked if he raises the price of all the cars all at once by a ton. So he's doing it slowly. But he did say just about a couple of days ago, maybe 4 days ago, he tweeted out, we can actually pull up his tweet. I think I have it pulled up right here. He tweeted out a thread of tweets. He said, "What are your thoughts about probable inflation rate over the next few years?" And then he continued to say, "Tesla and SpaceX are seeing significant recent inflation pressure in raw materials and logistics, and we are not alone." And then he linked this article about commodity prices soaring to the highest level since 2008. And this article attributed it to Russia's supply chain issues. We've been seeing prices go up long before Russia's supply chain issues. I mean, all you guys need to do is look at this chart of the inflation rate, right? We pull this chart up a lot, but not all of this was caused due to Russia. In fact, we haven't seen a lot of the price increases that are likely to occur due to the situation in Russia and Ukraine, right? These are backwards-looking readings, right? So we're probably going to see over the next couple of months some pretty significant inflation, at least, especially in the cost of oil and energy, and probably in food as well, because Russia is a big supplier of the world's wheat and corn and fertilizer. So over the next couple of months, we're probably going to see big increases in the CPI and inflation readings around the world, not just in the U.S. It's probably going to be worldwide stuff. And Tesla's getting ahead of the ball, right? They're getting the ball rolling on their price hikes. They don't want to wait until they're not making money on these cars. They just want to start raising the prices now, making money early. And, we'll see what happens with Tesla. I don't think that people are really going to slow down their Tesla purchases. I think people love Tesla, and they're probably worth paying quite a bit for if you've got the money for it. So I don't think that's really going to hurt Tesla all that much, especially if everything is going up in price. It shouldn't seem too out of the ordinary. Now, unfortunately, we've got some bad news, but it is an important world event that could be affecting the market in some way, right? An earthquake in Japan kills 2 and halts factories, cuts power to thousands of homes. So you guys probably may have heard about this earthquake, right? It was a sizable earthquake, 7.4 magnitude earthquake, just before midnight on Wednesday. So we actually missed it on Wednesday. It was east of the Fukushima prefecture. So I guess that's maybe another word for a nuclear power plant or something. But the Fukushima nuclear power plant, that's the one that they had that huge issue at a couple of years ago. And I don't know what the prefecture is. I don't know. I've not actually heard that word, but the same area that suffered Japan's biggest quake 11 years ago. So I don't think it was 11 years ago that we heard about the Fukushima disaster, but we've certainly been hearing a lot about nuclear power plants and worries about them in Russia and Ukraine and the Chernobyl power plant. People are worried about what Russia's doing with that since they've taken it over. Hopefully we don't have to worry about the Fukushima one. I believe that one's offline. I don't think they ended up starting it back up again. I think it just had too much radiation around the area from their last failure. But once again, it shut down some factories. That'll probably contribute to supply chain issues. It cuts power to thousands of homes. Those people, who knows where they're working, what kind of work they're doing. They might not be able to get to work because of that situation. If they work remotely, they might not be able to do it. But prefecture is like a town, says Kitchener. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Prefecture. Okay, so near Fukushima, where I guess they had that power plant as well, but it's already offline, I believe. Yeah, okay, here they actually talk about it. So they talk about the 2011 disaster when a magnitude 9.1 earthquake triggered a tsunami and caused a meltdown at a nuclear power plant. So I guess that was 11 years ago. Crazy. I remember watching the news on that. I guess I was in middle school or something. Crazy stuff. Doesn't feel like 11 years ago, that's for sure. But there you go. So earthquake in Japan, just in case anyone hadn't heard of it, it is a current event, something going on in the world. I heard someone mention it yesterday, and I felt very out of the know because I hadn't heard about the big earthquake. But there you guys, now you guys don't have to feel out of the know. There was an earthquake in Japan. And we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in Ukraine before we really get into MUL on what's going on with it. We'll probably look at CEI a little bit more closely as well, and some other stocks, but we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in Ukraine first of all, and then there are some other overarching things that we'll talk about eventually. But first, we'll talk about Ukraine. So, fate of hundreds of civilians in bombed Mariupol theater unclear. So, Russian attacks across Ukraine have resulted in numerous civilian deaths over the past day, and there are reportedly survivors in the rubble of a bombed theater in the besieged city of Mariupol. It emerged on Thursday. More than 1,000 civilians were said to be sheltering in the building. So, Ukrainian President Zelensky delivered a scathing address to German lawmakers on Thursday morning, urging Germany to do more to help Ukraine. Look at that. So, a lot of tragedies in Ukraine. And Biden will speak with China's Xi this week, reported 28 minutes ago. Joe Biden will speak with the Chinese President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China this Friday. And the discussion comes amidst second largest economy, not wanting to aid Russia. All right. So, two world leaders will discuss managing the competition between our two countries, as well as Russia's war against Ukraine and other issues of mutual concern, said Jen Psaki. So, we'll see what happens from that meeting. And Lithuania joins calls for a no-fly zone above Ukraine. There's just so much news constantly getting reported on this whole situation. And look at that. As of 2 hours ago, the Kremlin says Russia and Ukraine are not close to an agreement. Wow. Work continues. When there is progress, we will inform. Look at that. They're ready to work around the clock, and the Ukrainian side does not show zeal. Okay. All right. So we'll see what goes on with that situation. It's obviously not ideal what's going on there, but a lot of Russian people, a lot of the Russian oligarchs, a lot of the rich people in Russia are potentially able to find some shelter in a country that you guys have probably heard of, in Dubai, okay? Property booming in sanction-free Dubai as Russian interest spikes, all right? So Dubai did very well during the pandemic. Apparently, a lot of people ended up moving to Dubai. $35 billion worth of property market transactions were done in 2021 in Dubai, the highest recorded since the financial crisis. And a lot of Russians are trying to fix their problems and their issues. Dubai will ultimately benefit from any crisis. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, these sanctions have made a lot of people nervous. So this is a Dubai official talking. He says, if anyone brings money through the banking system here legally and professionally, we'll do business with them. So Russians were among the top purchasers of real estate before the war in Ukraine and sanctions. So Russians are potentially able to flee to Dubai. They're potentially going to be able to use Dubai as a safe haven. And it was reported that Russians have even been using crypto as a way to get their money into Dubai. So we're basically just seeing a bunch of Russians flee to Dubai, and it's a pretty beautiful area from the pictures I've seen. I've never been there. It certainly seems like a safe haven, for Russians. If as long as they're sanction free and whatnot, it seems like not a bad place to hunker down during all of these sanctions when your wealth is getting frozen, if you have any, that you can get to Dubai and you just hunker down there for a couple of months or years, depending on how long this lasts. Not a bad place to have to hunker down if you can get enough money there. So all in all, some Russian oligarchs are probably sitting more comfortable than what we would like to think. So they're able to flee to Dubai. That's all right. Not much we can do about that, but we will start talking a little bit about Mullen Automotive, MULN. So we're up pretty big. Let's see how much we're up during the after hours and pre-market. We're doing pretty darn good. We're up, let's see, up about 20% on this news. Now, it's interesting news that just came out. We just got Mullen Automotive featured by Yahoo Finance Live 4 hours ago. So Yahoo Finance Live's Brad Smith identified MULN as an EV stock standout that is doing well among falling EV stocks due to its solid-state battery technology and strong domestic presence. So for those of you who haven't heard about MULN, I'm sure most of you have, we initially got a big pump up in it due to the catalyst of they had positive developments for their solid-state battery. It's supposed to be a 600-mile range battery once they actually get it in their vehicles sometime in 2025 is when they'll be doing prototype testing. So they've still got a long ways to go. They've still got a lot to prove until that point, but it has been identified by Yahoo Finance Live as a potential strong EV play, okay? And Yahoo Finance Live is the world's biggest business news platform, apparently, with nearly 100 million unique monthly visitors, making it the #1 finance website in the U.S. And it makes sense. I mean, I check it pretty much daily. So all in all, it makes sense that they're doing pretty well being featured there. They also, these are noted as being reasons for why they were identified on Yahoo Finance as a potentially good EV play, okay? Positive coverage on CarBuzz. We've already talked about that. They were featured on CarBuzz, big car website. Potentially, I think they even said, everyone likes to tout themselves, right? Potentially the biggest car news website out there with 9 million monthly visitors. So something significant there. Positive coverage on CarBuzz, strong performance in recent EV market study, and significant domestic presence as being the top reasons contributing for the uptick in the company's stock performance. Obviously, a lot of people are interested in the short squeeze potential, right? A lot of people have been talking about the shorts in Mullen and are hoping that we'll be able to squeeze out some shorts. We'll look at the Ortex data in just a little bit. But the Mullen CEO did say in this interview, he said, "I am proud of the incredible progress Mullen has made so far, but we're just getting started." And they certainly are, right? They're definitely in the very early stages. They haven't sold any EVs. They don't really have any EVs that would be ready to sell. So they are still developing. And, they've had some good developments with that battery pack. It looks pretty promising. If they can, over the next couple of years, really perfect it and get it in a working prototype, that would be pretty darn impressive. If this company was able to get the longest range EV out there, that would definitely be pretty impressive. And we'll look at the short interest on Mullen real quick. We'll pull that up. And if you guys didn't see the video I posted on Mullen the other day and haven't heard about the market cap and the shares outstanding, you might want to check it out. But we'll cover a little bit of what's been said about Mullen here. So I'll pull up two tabs on or I'll pull up one on Twitter of what Ortex tweeted about Mullen. And let's see what they said. Basically talked about oh geez. All right, hold on. Twitter wants me to update my email. I clicked too quickly, and now they want me to update my email. All right, here we go. Ortex. All right, so Mullen Automotive. All right. Any second. Here we go. Here we go. So here is the tweet from Ortex where we discussed their shares outstanding. I'm sure most of you have seen probably the video I released on them, but Mullen update from Ortex. A couple days ago this came out. Following a prospectus for sale of up to 228 million shares of common stock, filings show significant increase in both shares outstanding and the number of shares excluded from the free float. So shares outstanding, this is the important part right here. Currently 188 million shares outstanding, and if you view it on Ortex, you can see that is the case as well. We'll pull them up on Ortex also. We'll type in MULN and pull them up. And I don't think they have not updated the market cap, but they've updated the shares outstanding. So 188 million shares there. They really should update this market cap because market cap equals outstanding shares multiplied by the price of the stock. So currently, with a $2 price, $2.12 price, we'll do the math real quick. 2.12 times 188 million shares. So they have about a $398 million market cap right now. And Ortex, they updated the shares outstanding, but for whatever reason, Ortex and Yahoo Finance are running rather slow on updating the market cap. Yahoo Finance also, if we just go to Yahoo Finance, also says $61 million market cap. They really need to update that. Yahoo Finance hasn't even updated the shares outstanding, but Ortex has. So on Ortex, they've got 188 million shares outstanding. That means that at their current price, they're around a $400 million market cap, just so everyone knows. It's not $61 million. A lot of people might see that and think that this thing could do, crazy stuff, that it could skyrocket through the moon, and it could go up pretty significantly, right? $400 million, pretty low market cap. Under $1 billion, stocks have room to move quite significantly, but there's a big difference between a $400 million market cap stock and a $60 million market cap stock. Just pointing that out for anyone who was unaware. But also, we'll look at the short interest on Mullen. It looks like also with the new shares outstanding that we've gotten from Ortex, right? The new update there, that has affected the short interest as a percentage of the free float, down to 2.83%. It was much higher in the past. You can see shorts are actually leaving today, as estimated by Ortex, down 1%. And we've got about 4.38 million shares. That's what Ortex is guessing. But really, it's in a range of 2.17 million to 10.69 is the range that Ortex says it could be in. So there could be up to 10 million shares short on this. But, shorts, they don't like to be very transparent about what they're up to. So we're probably not going to get a clear answer on exactly how many shorts are in this thing. But basically, that means, there's anywhere between, $4 to $20 million just about worth of short positions on this thing. So somewhere in that range, Ortex is estimating it's most likely to be at about $8 million worth of short positions. So it certainly has some shorts in it, a decent amount of shorts. It's not the craziest numbers that we've ever seen, especially accounting for the new outstanding shares that we've gotten. 188 million means this is only about a 2% of the free float being short. But a lot of people are still talking, at the very least, about the potential for a short squeeze, which is helping to drive up some interest in it, right? You can see this thing has been on the most active StockTwits map for a while, right? The number 2 it's sitting at right now due to the increase it's gotten and due to the feature on Yahoo Finance, right? So we're currently at number 2, right below the SPY, beating out AMC by about 3x. So about 3x the mentions that we're getting on AMC in MULN. So MULN doing pretty darn well in terms of social sentiment and also trending on Reddit. So the number 6 most discussed stock on Reddit, 1,300 upvotes. Not bad, right? In the top 10. We'll see if over the course of the day we can get some more people talking about it there. And it looks like we're about to get the market open right here. We're going to see what MULN does. It'll be interesting. It looks like Sundial just took a beating, but MULN, we'll see what happens with it. CEI is up, MULN is up, and the stock market is actually down, just barely, down 0.4%. Not the best, but also HYMC is one that a lot of people are interested in. We'll pull that up over Sundial. In the meantime, I don't think we have a Sundial catalyst coming today unless they spur of the moment announce the Alcana acquisition going through. We'll pull up some stocks that might be a little bit more volatile on the day. But towards the end of the month is really when we'll want to be looking at Sundial, right? That's when they have the earnings call. That's when they've said that at the latest, the 30th is when they expect to close the Alcana acquisition. So hopefully we'll see good stuff there. Looks like Muln is selling off. And let's see, we didn't quite get as many mentions on Muln today, at least not on Google. We didn't get as many searches as we did on the 14th. So I believe that's Monday. But we'll see what this Yahoo Finance news can do. So far, it seems to have done pretty well for the stock, but it is moving down a little bit. Looks like we're going to test the $2 support level. Let's see what we can get on this. It'll be tough. It'll be a tough day for Muln, it looks like. Sometimes you see these stocks that have pumped up a little bit, and when the market opens, boom, it's off to the races. They're green, they're skyrocketing. A lot of the times, though, especially on days when the market's down, when there's a lot of fear in the markets, sometimes you see these stocks moving down a little bit. And fortunately, we weren't super high above 2. Fortunately, we have this $2 potential support level right here. It looks like it is acting as some form of support for us. So maybe we'll be ending this little down spurt before it really starts. Hopefully we can. But something else that we've got, there are a couple of things that I did want to discuss, not about particular stocks, but one important thing for just overall, just the country overall. Something interesting that I've noticed. Something interesting, I'm loath to pull this up over the Muln chart, but we'll do it. Personal finance education is gaining momentum in the U.S., and this is a good thing. And most people, I think, should be learning about this kind of stuff. More states are requiring students to take personal finance education courses before they graduate high school. I think that's a really good thing. Obviously, you guys, if you're watching the stream, you're pretty well versed in personal finance, right? If you're this deep into the game, you're probably pretty well versed in it. You know about investing, you know about the basics, you know about options probably to some extent, you know about shorts and whatnot. So you're probably pretty well versed. A lot of people don't even invest at all. We're going to look at a statistic regarding that. But the number of states that include personal finance in their education standards has jumped to 47 in 2022 from 21 in 1998. But unfortunately, this statistic is very misleading, I feel. It says 47 states include personal finance education in their standards, but it's basically nothing, right? 27 offer a personal finance course in high school. So only 27 offer that in high school. I don't know where the rest are pretending that they're including some form of personal finance. I feel like there was basically none throughout my whole high school or entire education. Until college, I got basically none, and even in college, it wasn't great. Only 23 mandate that students must take one to graduate. So it gets even lower there. And of those, only 9 courses are standalone personal finance courses. The remaining ones are integrated into another class. So only 9 actually require that you take a personal finance course. And if this is the criteria that people are having, then it makes sense that 47 states include personal finance, because even I remember a time probably when a teacher for a math class or something talked about investing or interest or something, just mentioned it for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and that was that in high school, right? So if that's their criteria for teaching personal finance, then it's a pretty shoddy job that they're doing, and it really explains a lot of what we see regarding people's well-being, financial well-being. And look at that, Muln, a nice bounce off of 2 up to 215. Look at that. But regarding people's personal well-being, and their personal finance, right? The personal savings rate we've got right here, it has fallen pretty dramatically over the past couple of decades. It's been falling. And more recently, since 2008, maybe some more people started saving, right? Some more people started saving, just barely. And we certainly saw a big boost during the pandemic, right? A ton of people invested those or saved those stimulus checks, put them in their bank accounts. It went up dramatically. But you can also see that we've trended back down to around 6.4% savings rate. And this is basically how much do you save out of your discretionary income. So, I think personally this should probably be a whole lot higher. And obviously there are some people in situations where they can't afford to save all that much. But I think it could be a little bit higher than 6%. I think we could get up a little bit higher than 6% savings-wise. And what's even scarier than that is what percentage of Americans own stocks. In 2021, we found only 56% of Americans reported that they own a stock. And, of those, some might just be in mutual funds or something offered by their company. A lot of people might not be investing on their own. And that's one of the best things I think that people can do over the long term. If you can really learn how to invest and do decently well, then over the long term, we've seen how the stock market tends to perform over the long term. It's a pretty good way, in my opinion, my non-financial advice opinion, to accrue wealth. I think that 56% is not enough. I think we should get way, way higher on that. I think we could certainly benefit from being way, way higher on that. And what's interesting is 16% of Americans say they have ever invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrency. So, I'm one of those 16%, but, we'll see if that area grows to be much, much larger. Right now, it looks like crypto's doing pretty darn well. Crypto is up today. Hopefully, as more Americans are getting involved in crypto, it's only at 16% that have ever touched it, invested in it, traded it, used it, or anything. As that number grows, maybe as it gets closer to 50%, we could certainly see a big influx of capital to the crypto markets. The crypto markets are still relatively young. They look like the kind of thing that's gotten super inflated because you look at the price of Bitcoin, 41,000. It seems huge. Granted, the market cap is 778 billion, so it is pretty darn significant. But still, not many Americans actually using it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with crypto. Crypto is looking pretty good at the moment, right? A lot of cryptos are pumping up. Bitcoin up about 2%, Ethereum up 5%. A lot of cryptos are gaining, it looks like. After this Fed meeting, we did see good stuff for cryptos as well. You can see over the past 24 hours, this chart, basically the exact same thing that happened with the stock market happened with cryptos. Cryptos moved down as the Fed released projections, and then Powell started talking, and boom, cryptos were off to the races. So we are seeing good stuff with cryptos after the Fed meeting. Now, one thing that we're also seeing good stuff for, well, in addition to MULN making highs of the day at 224. Look at that, pumping up to 224. Gold is looking good. During the Fed meeting, we saw the exact same thing in gold, right? Down during the projections, Powell started talking, boom, gold is up. So all in all, I guess what didn't benefit too much from Powell talking was the dollar, right? It moved up during the projections and then plummeted. So the dollar's not looking too pretty. It's not really plummeting, but it's not making new highs, and we'll see what goes on with the dollar. Overall, though, I tend to be more interested in the stock market than the dollar, but MULN looking pretty darn good at the moment. For those of you who are just joining, Maria, good morning. For those of you who are just joining, I will pull up once again just very briefly the story that's moving MULN today for anyone who's just getting in around market open. Mullen Automotive featured by Yahoo Finance Live, the largest business news platform with 100 million monthly unique visitors. So a lot of people are hearing about Mullen, and as a fairly low market cap stock, as a small market cap stock, sub $1 billion, this kind of catalyst can move it, and it's up 25% as new people are hearing about it. A bunch of people are potentially people who are already in on it are buying bigger now that it's been featured, now that they're expecting more people to start looking into this one. And it got some bullish fundamental hype off of Yahoo Finance, right? They talked about the fundamentals a bit, but also more people are searching for it on Google. We're looking at a situation where it is moving up in the rankings on Reddit. It's up to number 6. Typically, Reddit has not been doing too great lately. A lot of people have moved off of Reddit, off of Wall Street Bets. It seems, months and months ago, we used to see a whole bunch more mentions, a whole bunch more activity on Reddit, and it's slowed down somewhat. But StockTwits has remained somewhat steady, somewhat reliable. A bunch of people still use StockTwits, about 14,000 mentions on Mullen at the moment. So a whole bunch of people talking about it there, and it is making new highs of the pump. So look at this. Over the past 30 days, we're making new highs today. So this is a runner. It could go, sky's the limit, really. There's no real resistance that we've got. Maybe $5. That actually looks like an old support level. We'll probably draw a line there. Obviously, to get to that point, they'd have to more than double. So we'll draw a little line at $5 just to see if they do end up getting there. That could act as a resistance. Look at that. It did act as support in the past, and when they broke through, they ended up plummeting down to 52 cents. So we'll see what goes on there. We've also got some volatility around $3. So maybe 3. I mean, that makes sense. 3 could be the next psychological support. It would probably be similar to $2. Yeah, we'll draw a little line there. We'll just see what goes on. We'll just draw those just so that they're marked out for us, just so we can have a little visual representation of where we might see some resistance. Not a guarantee at 3 yet. We'll see. It'll be interesting if they do bounce off of 3. But they certainly used 2 as support today. HYMC pumping up. Look at that. HYMC moving up potentially as gold is moving up as well. And HYMC, for those of you who are unaware, HYMC is the gold mining stock that AMC bought into the other day. So it's an impressive catalyst, right? AMC buying into this gold mining stock. If some of the apes decide to come over to it, we certainly saw some apes coming over to it on the initial day, right? We saw some apes coming over. And then I believe Ortex reported, let's pull up the Ortex Twitter account again. Let's pull that up. So, what have they said? Okay. Yeah, so on the day of the pump, on the 15th it was, right here. Yeah. So, unfortunately, on the day of the pump, on the day that AMC announced they were buying big, Hycroft Mining gives back some gains after confirming that it will conduct an at-the-market stock offering, which will be dilutive. So they offered some shares of stock for sale. They were able to raise some capital, so all things considered, fundamentally, that's probably good for them. But they did dilute a little bit and, unfortunately, cut the rally off a little prematurely, probably. They could have maybe gone higher if they didn't dilute, but obviously they wanted to benefit from the elevated stock price that was being experienced due to AMC buying and announcing the buy. So they were able to raise some capital. It was probably a good thing fundamentally. We'll see what happens now, though, now that they have raised that capital. Their next earnings call coming up on the 23rd. So that will be an exciting day for HYMC. We're looking forward to that. I am a shareholder in HYMC. We're going to see what happens fundamentally, right? They were doing far better in the past than they have been doing since November. Since November, you can see their past earnings call really dumped them down because they announced the slowdown of their operations. They were going to stop some operations due to rising costs and liquidity issues, which is exactly what AMC helped them with their investment and what we just helped them with buying up some of their stock at their stock offering. So we'll potentially be seeing good stuff from HYMC looking forward at their next couple of earnings calls. You know, I wouldn't be looking for their next earnings call happening now to be incredible because they just raised this capital a couple of days ago, and they've been basically going this whole time based on not operating very much, right? Because they said at their last earnings call that they were going to cut down operations. So this whole time, their stock price has been declining. They probably haven't been mining very much. So I wouldn't expect their current earnings call to actually have great results, but potentially really good projections we could see at their next earnings call, expecting to ramp up operations a ton due to the huge influx of capital that they've gotten. We'll see what happens there. It could be good or bad, depending on how investors take it. CEI certainly moving up today, up 12%, another play that I'm in, due to oil prices rising. And look at that, up 7.5% on oil prices now. So as oil's rising, so is CEI stock. Look at that. It's just got a big boost to oil, back up $100 a barrel. That could be good for oil. And that will certainly is being good for CEI, back up to 90 cents per share. We're going to see how high we can get this one. Mullen seems to have slowed down. Muln down off the highs to around 212. So nothing crazy going on with Muln. A 20% boost. The stock market does seem to be recovering, all things considered. That's very good. We saw a little bit of a sell-off after the Fed meeting in the after hours. After it did boost us up. We've been seeing a little bit of a sell-off in after hours and pre-market, but we are recovering, so good things there. And at any moment, I'm sure this market map will open up and we can see what the different sectors are looking like. But for now, it's looking like the S&P is just overall recovering, as is gold and silver. Gold and silver are both going up. And pretty much everything, for the most part, is fairly green. Another play that I've been in, Smile Direct Club, is up today. It's actually at break even today, but over the past couple of days, it's been doing pretty good. Average cost of $2.16 per share. Got about 1,000 shares of SDC, up about $300 on it. We're going to see what happens. But over the past year, SDC, another growth stock. I just like to put some money in some of these growth stocks that have been beaten down dramatically. Over the past year, it's been hit pretty hard. Over the past 2 years, you can see they did have a rally leading into 2021 and then got hurt dramatically. But even just to get back to where they've been, right? Even just to get back to where they were 2 years ago at $4 would be a pretty significant gain on SDC. So, they don't even need to get back to the highs of $16 that they were at. Even if they just got back to $4, that would be basically doubling from where I bought in at. And even now, at $2.46, they're still pretty cheap. But we've got a lot of plays out there. A lot of plays are doing pretty good. SDC has seen some volatility in the recent past, though, so there's no guarantee this rally is going to continue. But the S&P is reaching for green. We're just 0.12% away from being green on the SPY. CEI seeing some real green, and HYMC moving back down a little bit. All right, market map, come on, update. Let's go. Here we go. The market map just updated. Nice. So here we go. Stocks overall, surprisingly enough, it looks like the tech stocks and some financial stocks are looking a little bit more red than the rest. Oil and gas stocks obviously doing very well as the price of oil moves back up. But I would have honestly expected this to be a little bit greener. It's possible that the S&P, it's only down 0.11%, but it seems like some of the companies that are down more are the larger market cap companies. Potentially, the more green companies are the smaller market caps. Yeah, that's where you do tend to see some of the most green in the market at the moment, actually. Some of the smaller market caps, it looks like, are actually taking the index up. So look at that. Crazy stuff. Looks like we're about to break green on the S&P, though. So hopefully that will happen. Cryptos aren't doing anything insane at the moment. I mean, since the Fed meeting happened, we've seen some good stuff for them. We've seen Bitcoin up about 1.25, Ethereum down up 5% just about, Cardano up 5%, Dogecoin up 3%, Shiba Inu up 2%. I know a lot of people are big on Shiba Inu and Dogecoin. We'll see. I believe I still hold some Shiba Inu coin. I have some Dogecoin as well, some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, of course, some SafeMoon. Still got SafeMoon for anyone who's interested in that. And like I was saying earlier, 16% of Americans, only 16%, say they have ever invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrency. I would expect, and this is as of November 2021, so it's a couple months old, probably more now, right? But I would expect that as this number gets closer to maybe 30%, 50%, you could really see some big increases in the prices of these cryptos as just more people get involved, right? As there's a stable amount of supply, especially in Bitcoin, the amount of supply is slowly increasing, but there is an overall limit to how much supply there will be. We could see crypto prices going up significantly as we start to see more buying from just everyday Americans. If only 16% have bought thus far, we could certainly see some good stuff. And Niner Zulu says, still very bullish on HYMC. Yeah, I'm going to hold HYMC for a bit until we see a pretty significant pump probably, right? I'm bullish on it for a couple of reasons. One, it's a gold mining stock, obviously. I think that gold is probably a pretty good play going into a high inflationary environment. So it has that going for it. It was a pretty good fundamental gold play up until the last quarter when they announced the slowdown of their operations. It was getting quite a bit of gold. So we'll see what happens at this next earnings call if they announce a big speeding up of their mining operations. Hopefully they will. But also now it's a meme stock, basically. Right now, people from AMC have come into it, and it could have a meme-driven rally, especially if we start to see that really come back. We've not been looking too good meme stock-wise over the past couple of months. Unfortunately, the market's been moving down in a big way. We haven't seen great stuff, but I'm bullish. I'm bullish on HYMC. And Greg says, good morning, Rob. Heard Astra team up with Microsoft. AstraZeneca, maybe? Let's see. Yeah, so I haven't heard too much about this, but it looks like self-training week, predictability, deep learning. I've heard of Astra AstraZeneca. I don't know too much about what they're up to, but Worlds of Risby says SafeMoon. That's right. That's the one. That's the one. We're waiting on that. We're waiting on that. I mean, I'm happy to wait however long it takes, right? Because just the more volume that's being traded, the more reflections that gets sent into my account. So SFM, I think, is the symbol for it. SafeMoon V2. So look at that. Over the past couple of months, unfortunately, I don't keep up too much with it, what it's doing day to day. I'm sure I'd notice if it did see a big pump. It's just been downtrending a little bit. Might be not a bad place to buy some more of it. It is about, wow, yeah, it's downtrended a significant amount actually. So yeah, I might buy some more SafeMoon. Not a bad idea. And Mullen government loan got it flying. Government loan. Let's see. Government loan. Well, let's see if we can find a Mullen government loan. Not over the past week. I'm not seeing anything reported on that, but it did get mentioned on Yahoo Finance Live. It's certainly up a little bit off of that. It's up pretty significantly actually. It's up off of that news. So we'll see what we got. And Travis Bruce says Sundial stuck at 48 cents. What's the deal with Sundial? We'll pull up Sundial over Muln real quick. So unfortunately, the deal with Sundial is there's not too much going on with it at the moment, right? We're just waiting for probably the next 13 days or so until this earnings call comes in. That's probably the biggest news that we've got for Sundial coming in soon. Potentially at some point before that, we might see the Alcana acquisition. By the latest, they've said the 30th is when they expect that Alcana acquisition to go through. So there are two catalysts incoming, but not much has been going on in the world of cannabis for the past couple of weeks. People's attention has really been overtaken by what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, just the whole situation there, the macroeconomic environment, the inflation and whatnot. That's what people have been focusing on. So not too much news for Sundial has been getting dropped lately. So it's kind of been fleeting people's minds. But in about a week or two from now, when we get that earnings call and the Alcana acquisition, that could be a big setup for Sundial potentially to start trending up, hopefully, right? Depending on what they say at this earnings call, hopefully they'll be including Alcana results in that earnings call, and we'll get some positive results from earnings. Hopefully we'll see Sundial moving up. And then in April, we've got some legalization catalysts coming. That's when Chuck Schumer says he wants to introduce his cannabis legalization bill. So as long as this whole Russia situation wraps itself up, I'm pretty bullish on Sundial for the near term, right? I think that next couple of days, probably not too much from them, but next couple of weeks and months, I think we could really see some good stuff. So that's when Sundial is going to be very interesting. But as of the past couple of weeks, you can see it's just kind of been sitting around in between 45 and 55 cents. So it's not been doing too much as of late, unfortunately. We'll see what happens, though, at this earnings call, right? The last earnings call, notably, they hit up during the after hours, actually, 99.99 cents. So we'll see what we can get at this one. That would be a much bigger move for them. They're a little bit lower than where they were at the last earnings call right before that, but we'll see what we can get. Maybe the Alcana acquisition will happen a couple of days before. We'll be moving up on that potentially. We'll see what happens with Sundial, but unfortunately, not too much has changed over the past couple of weeks, so not too much new stuff going on. And Kitchen honestly says Sundial plagued by shorts. We'll pull up the Ortex data on it and check out the Sundial shorts for anyone curious about that. But, nothing too new there either, right? Still a bunch of shorts in Sundial, 11.58% of the free float, 237 million shares short on Sundial stock. So, yeah, pretty significant. Over $100 million in short positions are being placed on Sundial. So, that's something significant right there. And if Sundial moved up significantly in price, that short interest would, or that amount of dollars shorted would grow pretty dramatically and pretty quickly. Every 50 cent increase would be an extra $100 million worth of short positions. And, you're likely to see when Sundial goes on the rise, more shorts coming in. That's just what shorts tend to do. When a stock goes up dramatically, a bunch of people see it as a potential temporary move and they want to short a stock even more. So more shorts jump in. So we're likely to see a whole bunch of short activity in Sundial And during a time when there's cannabis legalization, that could be very dangerous for shorts. That could be very good, especially if we're seeing the overall economy recover, more meme stock driven rallies. That could really attract some apes and some Redditors and short squeezers into Sundial stock. It could be very good for Sundial. But we'll see what goes on. We'll see what goes on. Question, says Devil Inside, can you remind me the tickers of the real estate REITs you like? Yeah, the two that I'm in are Gain, and not financial advice here, is Gain, Gain, and Main, Main. So Gladstone Investment Corp and Main Street Capital Corp. These just pay out. You can see the dividends that they pay out pretty frequently. I believe every month they pay them out. I believe it's every month. And, it's basically just like buying a fraction of a rental property, right? MAIN is a bit more expensive, but pays a larger dividend. They pay a similar dividend ratio. I believe it's around 4%. So, they've both been doing fairly well over the past year, especially the past 2 years. I bought them actually probably around the pit of the pandemic, around $20 for Main probably, and for Gain probably around $8 maybe. So they did pretty darn well. They've done well stock price wise as well as dividend wise, right? It just passive income coming in from the rental properties that they own. So those are the two REITs that I'm in. Those are the two that I like. There is SPHD, I believe, is another. It's not a REIT, but it basically tracks a bunch of dividend-paying stocks from the SPY. So from the S&P 500, it's low volatility, high dividend-paying stocks that they invest in. And they also pay out, I believe, every month a dividend, if I'm not mistaken. They pay out every month a dividend, and it's not as much as the REITs, right? It's not a rental property ETF, but SPHD, let's see what their dividend payout ratio is. It's currently sitting at 3.88 it looks like. It's their 30-day yield, so look at that. But yeah, they pay out, I believe, monthly dividends, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Yep, there we go. So monthly dividends in SPHD. If anyone's interested in dividend stuff, right? Those are some that I'm in. Not recommending anyone gets in them. Those are just what I'm interested in at the moment. We'll pull back up Muln, which seems to have just taken off, right? New highs of the day, 235 is what we're hitting up now. The market just turned green. That's got to be good for stocks. We'll pull back up the market map and see what we've got now. Maybe we'll have turned around on some of these larger market cap stocks. We'll see. It looks like some of them are starting to, not this. It looks like some of them, here it is. It looks like some of them are starting to turn a little bit more green in healthcare. Amazon just eked out a gain on the day. Insurance, Berkshire Hathaway, all right. They're doing good. And obviously oil and gas saving some of these indexes potentially. Oil and gas stocks soaring. CEI, not at their highs of the day. It's actually moving down. Is oil moving down? Makes me wonder, no, oil's not down all that much. It's down below 102, but it's still up 7% on the day. So we'll see what we got oil price-wise. It's just been bouncing around. Let's pull that up right there. So since the open, we're not at the highs, that's for sure. So we'll see what we can get with oil stocks. We'll see what we can get out of those. And for anyone who's interested, for anyone who missed the very beginning of the stream, I do want to point out we have a note document on the Locals channel, top link in description, or if you're on Rumble, if you're watching on Rumble, you can check out the red join button there. You can join the Locals channel for free, and we have a post on there highlighting the Fed meeting. So a summary of what went on at the Fed meeting. Anyone who missed the video I posted yesterday, or who just hasn't had time to watch the Fed meeting themselves, there's a bit of a summary right there. For anyone who wants to join the Locals channel, it's free. You can just hit the top link in description, and you can choose to support it if you wish, but no requirement to do it. I just post the stuff, and we did post a summary of what the Fed said. So anyone curious about why stocks yesterday started moving up as soon as Powell started talking, you can see some quotes of what he said, and they're looking pretty darn good today. So it looks like we may, at this Fed meeting, have broken out of this $430, 426 level. So hopefully this will be green for the stock market next couple of weeks. And thank you very much for the super chat, Greg. Keep it up, he says. I will certainly keep it up. It looks like not only will I keep it up, but the stock market's going to keep it up too. up 0.1% on the SPY. Muln making new highs on this bar of 237. CEI not quite making new highs, but looking not too bad. And HYMC also eking out a gain on the day. So everything green that we're watching today, you can't complain about that. But that's what we've got for the day. That was the stock market in the first 30 minutes of trading. So anyone who is watching this for the first time, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We do these market open live streams every morning at 9. Feel free to check that out. Feel free to hit the like button if you haven't already. That certainly helps out the channel. Currently, we're sitting at 56 likes. Maybe we could get that up to 60 before the stream ends. And we'll see what we can do stock price-wise the rest of the day. If you're watching on Rumble, feel free to throw down a Rumble. That's much appreciated. And subscribe to the channel. We're certainly trying to grow there as well. You know, Rumble is a good free speech platform. I'll pull it up real quick for anyone curious, anyone watching this on Rumble. Shout out to Rumble. We're right there, number one on the finance page, live stream. So hopefully we'll see Rumble growing over the next couple of months. And maybe they'll update their website. Maybe it'll become a little bit more appealing to some users, and we could see some good stuff there as well. But it's a big free speech platform, so feel free to check that out or join us on Rumble or Locals, which is owned by Rumble. And other than that, guys, that's what we've got for the day. So it was a pleasure. I'll see you all tomorrow at 9 for the last day of the week on Friday. Hopefully it'll be a green day. It looks like today is probably going to be a green day. And other than that, guys, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.